the A1R Psychic Radio Network, Moonstruck TV, Enlightening Television. And welcome to the #1 Psychic Radio Network on Earth. I am your host. I'm John Cappello, and I'm a psychic medium from the North Texas area. And if you listened to the program or watched it on Moonstruck TV, then you know that we talk about stuff that's all about psychics and astrology, and we try to debunk some of the ideas that the skeptics have about psychics. And I just like to introduce you to some new ideas or new ways of looking at things. And yesterday we had just such a momentous event with the eclipse that I couldn't help but talk about it a little bit today, because what I wanted to do was as an astrologer, I like to look at events at times, and I looked at the eclipse, and I know if you're like me, you were astonished to see that it was not only the sun and moon that were conjunct in Aries, but it was also Chiron. So Chiron is just, I thought, a very, very important aspect of the eclipse yesterday. I was privileged to see it. I was privileged to see the total eclipse, and it was kind of breathtaking to me. Some people didn't think it was a big deal, but I did. And I felt like it was something that, was going to be in my memory from now on. But a lot of people were crying. They showed on television and everything, and it was an emotional event. It's just something that we need to consider and think about. With Chiron being a part of the mix, it's interesting because I've talked about Chiron before, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about it again today. And I know you're a savvy audience, so that you probably already know that Chiron was the son of Zeus, or Kronos, if you want to call him that. There's two names, the Greek or the Roman. And this is let's see, Jupiter, I guess, would be the Roman, but Zeus was supposedly seduced by a nymph named Philera. I think that's how you pronounce it. Actually, she was a hoochie coochie girl. So she disguised herself as Hera, the wife of Kronos, and she seduced him, and she was impregnated, and she had Chiron. And when she had the baby, she abandoned the baby, and the baby was found by Apollo, or also Mars. And so Apollo took the baby and adopted him. Him and Artemis, Apollo and Artemis raised him, and he turned out to be quite an interesting character. But the thing about it is, from one of the stories that I've heard about this situation, was that Hera, the wife of Zeus, found out, and so she cursed Chiron and made him a centaur. And the legend is that centaurs have a tendency to be drunks and the carousers and troublemakers. So yeah, that's what he became. But one of the things that Hera did was exile him to the island of Chiron. So of course, Chiron is a moon around Jupiter, I believe, but it's one of the larger moons, I think, around that planet. Of course, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not an astronomer, but Chiron was a very wise person when he wasn't drunk. He was a healer. He was a counselor. He was someone that was able to help everybody with their own problems, but never could solve his own. And so when you see the sun and moon and Chiron all together, of course, when you see the sun and moon together, it's going to affect you emotionally. It's going to maybe, it depends on the person. Of course, it can make you very sad or maybe depressed, but usually the sun is uplifting. Usually the sun brings you up. It's supposed to give you more energy. And so if you have the wounded healer there, and you have an area in your life that is that's hurting or a past hurt, then it should uplift you there. So yesterday, this was about healing past wounds. Now, it depends on where it fell in your chart. So, I always say, get your natal chart, and we can do that if you like. And just send me an email at john@johncappello.com and set up a reading. So I'll be happy to do that for you. But we can do that and set up this your natal chart and then look at a transit. So yesterday's transit with the eclipse fell in one of the houses of your chart. Like, for instance, with the United States, it fell in the fourth house, which is the house of home and family and patriotism. So we're going to go over that in a little bit. But it's about a reflection. It's about revisiting a past wound, and it's about getting a new perspective, depending on where it was in your chart. Now we're going to take our callers here in just a moment. I did want to give you that little bit of insight because we need to use the energy in our chart as positively as we can, because astrology has a tendency to be negative. Right now we're in Mercury retrograde, and Mercury retrograde can be about arguments. It can be about miscommunication. Your car might break down, my transmission might not work, the radio could go out, but not that's ever happened to me. But these are things that can happen. But if you use Mercury retrograde positively, then you just know to take your time, and not to sign that contract impulsively. Just read the fine print. So you can make it through Mercury retrograde, and you can make it through any Chiron as well. It's just may take you a little more time, and may take you a little more effort to get that done. So that's what I'm suggesting you do. So what I want to do is I want to go to our first caller. I'm going to talk to Jody in Oxford, New Jersey. So Jody, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Fine. Did you see the eclipse yesterday?
Yes, I did.
You did? Was it a full eclipse in your area or partial?
It was cool.
Full? Okay, that's great. That's great. So Jody, are you having trouble with maybe a son or a man in your life?
I don't.
Or do you have a question for me? Do what?
I don't want to say trouble. I mean, I'm married. My husband's sick.
Your husband is sick?
Yes, he's sick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, trouble in the sense of he's not well. Is that so it's caused you some consternation. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So it doesn't mean that you're arguing or anything, or that you're getting ready to divorce or anything, but it just feels like this is a heavy weight on you. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, because we don't want to see our spouses sick. You don't want to see your husband sick. Is that right?
No, not at all.
Okay. So it seems to me this is pretty serious, though, and it seems to me that you are trying to do everything as positively as possible. But is this cancer or another disease?
Cancer.
Cancer. Okay. Have they given him a prognosis yet? They're not saying that it's terminal, have they?
Stage 4.
It's what?
Stage 4.
Stage 4. Okay. Okay. So it just seems to me that taking it one day at a time is the best approach. And I'm not saying that I'm not going to be a fatalist or anything like that. I'm just going to say that this is something that is going to bring the two of you closer, if it hasn't already. Sometimes when people are ill, it can be a tense time as well. So you have to make sure that you are as patient as you can possibly be. Lung cancer is difficult to beat, from what I understand, but I have a friend who was recently cured from it. So there is some hope, but I don't want to give you false hope either. But I just feel like this is a very serious situation, and it's something that I know you are doing the best that you can to take good care of him, and I know that he loves you very much. And just like I say, this is a time for bonding, and this is a time for of course, prayer, and it's a time to be as optimistic as you can be. and follow, as many treatments as he's able to take in order to beat this situation. Now, has he had some type of surgery with this lung cancer?
No, not yet. Tomorrow we find out what they're going to do.
Okay,
If they can
okay,
even treat it. We find out tomorrow.
okay. Well, I'm 50-50 on it right now. Of course, I'm in a public situation. I don't want to speak too verbosely about it, but I feel like this is a situation where the energy I'm getting from you is that you're hoping for the best but preparing for the worst. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Spot on.
So
Yep.
So
Yeah.
just keep a positive attitude, and I'm leaning towards them doing some type of surgery, but I'm also leaning towards they're saying that these chances are not as good as you would hope them to be. But so I hope that I'm wrong on that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, and best of luck to you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much. Have a good
Okay.
day.
Thank you. Okay.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.
So I want to talk a little bit more about Chiron and how it affected the eclipse yesterday, because where it is in your chart is important, and it's like I say, I'm going to use the United States as a guide. The United States happens to have Chiron in its chart in the fourth house, but it's 20 degrees. And yesterday, the Chiron and the sun and moon were both 19 degrees Chiron, in Aries, excuse me. They were all in Aries in the fourth house. And it's significant because we see the two leaders of that are in the election that are talking, they talking about things that I guess they both felt would be unifying in their way. Yesterday, one spoke about student loans, forgiveness of student loans. The other talked about abortion and how it moved to the states from a federal level. And so you have to decide how you feel about what each of those people spoke about, those two issues, and if it made you feel closer to that person, or offer a possibility for you to either vote for the current president or the former one. So if you look in your chart, we'll take the next caller here in just a moment. But if you look in your chart, you will see that if it falls in the first house, then there may be something that happened to you in the past that involved your body. Maybe it was an accident, maybe something that involving your head, something that was Aries-like, maybe even your self-esteem, something that hurt you a great deal, very, very deeply, and you are able to take a new perspective of it. Maybe there were some lessons that you learned from it, and so there could be something important that you could gain from it. So if it's in the second house, it could be some type of possession that you lost, whether you went bankrupt or you lost a home, or some other type of tragedy. Maybe you got robbed or something like that. But you gained a new perspective from it. How did you grow from it? Where did you go after that incident happened? Was there something there that was a positive from it? And can you grow from that, from where you are now? So the third house is very interesting because I got a lady on my Facebook page saying that she had been very emotionally disturbed this past week, and it happened to be in her third house, and the third house is about childhood. So there may be some childhood wounds or sibling rivalry wounds, or there may be something that's all related to communications, things that are Gemini-like. So, and the next one would be mother, the fourth house, mother, home, family, military, patriotism. So those things may be coming back to you And you might say to yourself, where did that come from? Well, it may be from the eclipse. So let's go to Angie in Mitchell, South Dakota. So Angie, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
How are you today?
I'm good.
Okay. How did the eclipse affect you? Did you have any, did you see it at all? Was there a partial eclipse there?
No,
Nothing.
it was cloudy and stuff, but
Cloudy.
I don't know how it affected me kind of right now I'm going through a lot.
Okay.
Kind of going through a little bit of a,
Okay. Was this about a relationship? You're not going through a divorce or anything, are you?
maybe.
Maybe. Okay. What's your birth sign?
Yep, February 2nd.
February 2nd, you're Aquarius?
Yep.
Okay. Well, Aquarius is starting a new life. There's a major transformation coming for Aquarius. We'd have to find out. Do you know your rising sign by any chance?
No, but I have done my birth chart.
Okay.
I guess I don't know where they look for that at.
What time were you born?
It was about 9:30 in the morning.
In the morning? Okay.
Yep.
That's probably going to, let's see, probably might be Aries. Okay, it might be Aries. So that would mean the eclipse would fall either probably in your 12th house or your first house. So if it fell into your 12th house,
it did fall in my first house.
First house. Okay.
I know. Yep, first house.
First house. So you're a late Aries rising. So that would mean that things affecting your self-esteem, your will, is somewhat. I mean, I'm not going to say you're going to get divorced, but I am going to say that I just feel like you're, for lack of a better description, I feel like you're pretty pissed off right now. I feel like you're under a great deal of stress, and that you feel like you've lost touch with your partner in some ways, and there's a detachment there that's already begun. This is going to take some major healing, major work. Is your husband willing to do that work?
No, he's not.
Okay.
He's not willing to do anything. Yeah. So I actually am looking at apartments because he's not willing to move out of. You run a business in the house, so I am trying to decide if I should just get an apartment on my own.
Well,
and just kind of come back and forth.
Well, I don't know the laws in your state, and it's best that you, before you make any decisions, to consult an attorney. If you're considering a divorce, because if you leave the house, I know where I am. If you leave the house, you lose a lot of leverage. Okay, so
okay.
So you don't, and I'm not an attorney, so don't get legal advice from me. Okay. Okay.
Right.
I'm just telling you that I'm a psychic. That's what I do. You might just go to the internet and get a divorce checklist. I hate to be promoting that sort of thing, but the thing about it is divorce is an ugly situation. It's something that I don't like. I'm very pro marriage, but if it's something that has to be done and there's no choice, then you have to be smart. You have to be careful. You have to be respectful of your partner, but you also have to be protective of yourself as well. So it's before you do anything, before you make sign that contract with an apartment or whatever, you consult an attorney, okay? Because they will know more about a strategy than you. Many times attorneys will have the first session free. Look for recommendations and do the best that you can. But I'm just going to tell you, Angie, you're in South Dakota, I'm in Texas, and we're talking on the Skype network at A1R Psychic Radio.
Yeah.
And I'm picking up this energy. You didn't say a thing to me. So So if it's that strong, it means that something needs to be done. Okay. So whether
Okay.
it's divorce, that's up to you. That's something you have to do. You have to ponder very, very carefully before you change your life like that. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
All
Thank you.
right. So thank you very much. It's nice to talk to you, and good luck to you. Bye bye.
Thank- Bye.
Okay. Bye bye. So I believe we left off talking about Chiron in the fourth house. If Chiron fell in your fifth house, then you may have some past hurt revolving around a child. Maybe a loss of a child, maybe the loss of a gambling debt, maybe the loss of you took a big chance in a business and it failed. Some type of loss. And if you were in a political campaign and you lost an election, then this is something that you might be reliving a little bit right now. And you might look at it and say, okay, what did I learn from that? What did I learn from that particular loss? If it fell in your sixth house, then there could be some health issues that you are dealing with, maybe some past health issues. If you had a major illness and that you recovered from, or if you're still dealing with it, you may take a different look at it, the different look at your well-being. You might be taking a different look at a place that you worked at one time, maybe the loss of a pet that was very dear to you. And you might also look at your routines. Like, gosh, I remember when my routine was going to the grocery store at 7 a.m. every morning. Now I don't do that. So these are things that may have caused you some pain at some point in time. But this reflection and this new beginning is going to be good for you. It's going to be something that you would gain from. Then, of course, if it was in the seventh house, or if the eclipse fell in the seventh house, then there could be some memories from the loss of a spouse, whether it be a divorce or death, or an open enemy, someone that you trusted, but they turned out to not be a friend. They sued you, and maybe you lost. These are things that you've got to look at. So your partners, a partner in business, could some type of loss that you could have had there. If it was eighth house is such an interesting house, a deep house, house involving estates, inheritance, and joint possessions, whether you lost a home, whether it could have been flooded, or you weren't able to to recoup the home or whatever. You might have lost some other people's money, not through any thing that you may not have wanted. It wasn't intentional, but you may have lost money. You could have been the victim of a crime at one point in time that you're reflective of. And so these are things that you've got to look at. The ninth house could mean that there was pain from a philosophy that you had. There may have been something where you had a belief system that just didn't work for you anymore. And this is something that you've got to consider. And whether you have a new way of looking at things and say, how did that do something good for me today? How did I grow from that philosophy? Maybe there was something that happened to you overseas, or something involving a foreigner, or just like I say, beliefs or higher education. Something that happened to a grandfather or aunts and uncles. Some people say that that's father. Sometimes I think it's a fifth house, but astrologers say it's ninth house. So we have to go with that. And then the 10th house is all about your status, your social status, your falling from grace, loss of a big job, or something of that nature. If it's 11th house, then it could be something that involved friends or groups. And then if it's 12th house, lots of stuff in the 12th house. So it could have been you had a mental illness breakdown, or there was an incarceration, or there was some other type of problem involving the mind or maybe spirits in that regard. So something that failed you, that you felt that was a big part of your life, maybe not something that you meant to have go wrong, or there might have been a problem with an addiction. So these are things that you needed to look at with that eclipse. And of course, you can still do that. Pull out your chart, look at the transit for April 8th or wherever you are when the eclipse happened, because the sun is going to give you that boost. It's going to give you that boost to your moon, to the moon, in the emotional part in that house, and it's going to help you be more reflective. So don't ignore these things because they are important. Now, with astrology, I always say, or I always have found that it's not the moment when the actual conjunction or event happens. It happens slightly afterwards, okay? Because it just seems like you need to have the energy take a little bit of time for it to materialize. And there's lots of things going on with the planets all the time. Mercury retrograde. There's always squares or other conjunctions and things like that. But this is a big one because this was a once in a lifetime event for many of us. And if it wasn't, I hope that you get a chance to see it because it is fascinating. When the sun was completely covered by the moon, it was actually cooler. The lights turned on, outside lights turned on, and there weren't a lot of animals around me, birds or anything, but a lot of people noted that birds stopped chirping and because they thought it was nighttime. So, and for those brief 3 or 4 minutes, it's a wondrous situation, a wondrous event. So that's about it for us today here on the psychic side. I want to thank our sponsors. I want to thank Miracles of Joy. I'm going to be at Miracles of Joy in Bedford pretty soon. Be sure to use their code PSO223 on their website. So I'm John Cappello. Be sure to like our Facebook page, and I will see you next week here on the psychic side. Take care, and be sure to get your chart and call me at some time or email me at john@johncappello.com. I'll be happy to help you out. Take care. Bye-bye.